The Valkyries are that team you don't want to play. There's one in every league. That team that you're supposed to beat, but you might not, right? They're going to be feisty. They're going to be tougher. And it's just not, it's not going to be an easy game, an easy matchup. And they're starting to gain their respect here, 14, 15 games into the season as the surprise of the league, as again, the team you don't want to see. Not that they're like going to be a contender and that they're going to beat you, but they might. And it's not going to be an easy night, regardless of the matchups. And this Liberty team come into San Francisco for the first time in their third matchup. Still no Jonquel Jones. Their big wing forward defender is over in the Euro Cup. And so, they have a makeshift roster as well. No Carla Len. She had some sort of back issues. And I had spoken about her, maybe making some business decisions at that size. But you also understand that's not how she's wired, right? She's wired to be fearless and all gas, no brakes mentality. That's my worry with Carla. At her size is her durability when you combine it with her fearlessness in her playing style. And so she sits, and Temi Fagbenle is on her way back from the Euro Cup, as well as other players. Like it's wrapping up here. And I think that's like the main focus with this Valkyries team is who's on the bubble and what is this roster going to look like after the Euro Cup? There's only so many spots. They've already waived Aerial Powers, and Chen got some minutes because Carla Len wasn't playing. Now, maybe it's not fair for me to judge in such a small sample size. I'm not seeing it. She's obviously undersized. High motor, high energy. She seems like a really good locker room presence and a girl to be a part of the team. I'm not seeing it on the floor when we're talking about roster spots for her. I think the real question for this Valkyries team when they get whole is Talbot or Leticia Amihere. I think that is going to be the decision, as Nakase has stuck with Talbot all year. Granted, not for heavy minutes, but starting in a big part of the rotation, a veteran Australian big forward. And defensively, look, I get it. She's always in the right spot. She's very sound defensively, but she has been leaving a lot to be desired offensively as far as I don't think anybody expects her to create her own shot or be a hub offensively, but you got to take and make the open shots. And it's funny what happens when your back is against the wall, because all of a sudden, Stephanie Talbot last night, I haven't seen her that aggressive ever. Now, I haven't, I'm not familiar with her career, but she comes out and has a career night for the Valkyries offensively. Hits a couple threes, mid-ranger, and clearly I think she understands she's on the bubble. Now, Stewie gets going for the Liberty early, and they had Mo Billings on her. They tried Talbot on her, and it almost seemed like the game plan was more so to contain Sabrina in her homecoming, and they did that. I don't know how much of it was us containing Sabrina as much as her just not being right. I think it was a combination of both. But Stewie, 20 balls, the Valkyrie, in that first half. And as it's happening, I'm thinking, where's LA? Where is Leticia? That feels like maybe the better matchup. And they adjusted in the second half as a team and sent way more focus to Stewie. But Leticia was the better matchup. She finally got in late in the second quarter. Right away, offensive rebound, block shot, gets to the line. And so, look, it's all well and good that Talbot had her best game as a Valkyrie and showed the shot and showed some offense. It's weird because throughout her career, she's been like a 37, 38% three-point shooter. And then last year with the Sparks, 26% from three. This year so far, 23%. Is that an anomaly? Or can she refine that stroke? Because if that's part of the equation, if Talbot is the defender and solid vet that she is, and she makes the open shots, okay, fine. But I still feel like they should keep Amihere. When you look at, we're in year one of this, and you're looking to build for the future. They're not a win a championship team right now. She's so much younger. I think her ceiling is so much higher. And it's not just the ability to step up way above the three-point line and switch, but the ability to recover, and she understands the angles and the nuance of using her length defensively to go along with that motor. She going to spread the floor? No, right? But that quick first step, finishes with the left, finishes with the right. If that is the roster bubble spot, as good as Talbot was last night, I think they have to keep Leticia. That's my biggest takeaway from the game and what I'm thinking about currently with this Valkyries team. Let's talk Money Martin. Kate Martin, career night. What'd she have, 21? So for the last week or so, she has flashed a back to the basket game. And I'm like, I didn't know she had that. Like, take a bump, she has the 1-footer, like the little Dirk fade. And she seems very comfortable taking these slighter or smaller guards on the block and getting a bucket. And it seems like a good way to get her going, right? But I think, just as important, because the offense was loud, the big clutch, big threes down the stretch, that's what everyone's going to focus on. More importantly, I like what I'm seeing from her defensively way more. Like they were out here in Phoenix against that Mercury game where I was there in person, and I was like, yo, I do not like her foot speed, her rotations. Like, if you're lacking foot speed, you've got to anticipate. You've got to be a step ahead mentally on the defensive end in your rotations to make up for that. And I wasn't seeing that. And she's much more active, higher motor, getting over screens, getting out to the corner, playing the passing lanes. And so I think that is super encouraging to go along with this back to the basket game. And we knew she could shoot the ball. That corner three late where she dipped on the catch, because the window was super tight, right? If she caught it, and like a lot of women shooters do, then take like a step and like a dip before their shot, that the shot wasn't there. She dipped as the ball was coming, caught it in the dip and released it. That's a pro shooter right there. And I'm starting to think, that she just needs volume. Like, it feels like if you give Kate 9-10 shots a night, she's going to get going. And we know, like, the clutch gene is there. Like, the big shot is there. And after one, it's like, all right, I'm cool with you heat checking, right? Just like with Tiff Hayes, who, listen, it's been a huge addition. Her aggressiveness offensively, her ability to get to the line, and the bucket that she is. I wish she would look to create shots for others a little more, like especially in transition. There were a lot of possessions where Tiffany, it was just her end to end. No one else touched the ball. And again, you get how adept she is getting to that left hand, getting to the line. She has a lot of lean, a lot of hip bend, big strides, but the passing and the playmaking isn't there from her. I'd like to see a little more of that. And then defensively, she's super athletic, great hands. I think she's really good on the ball. Team defensive wise, I don't know, especially as your veteran. I think she needs to communicate more. She left Mo out to dry a couple times, and some of that is a little bit lacking. But you can't have it all, right? You can't have it all. Like, she's clearly a huge part of this team, and you need her offensive firepower. When you look at the Sabrina Stewie 2-man game, it puts so much pressure on you. And Mo, Talbot, whoever it was, you have to show on Sabrina and then try to recover to one of the greatest scorers that the W's ever seen in Stewie. And, so that puts anybody in a predicament. The one strategy I didn't like from, the Valkyries defensively was, Burke? Burke, what's her name? Kennedy Burke? So their big shooter off the bench is shooting 54% from three. And you get why when you look at their offense. Again, because Sabrina and Stewie are generating these wide open looks. But I thought the mistake was don't guard Natasha Cloud. Like, her shooting splits are horrific. It looks like a batting average in baseball. She shoots 36% from the field, 26% from three. And I thought that they gave her too much respect as an offensive player. And when the ball was in her hands, make her a shooter. And so some of the open looks that Burke got were off of Cloud's penetration and strategically moving forward. That was the flaw. I thought you should have just dared her to score. And Burke had like 19, 20 points off the bench, hit 4 or 5 threes. And then down the stretch, that call off Stewie's finger was ridiculous. That was horrible. It clearly bent back off her fingers and the ball spun, and it was as clear as day. They review it for 5 minutes, and they still give the Liberty the ball. They do get the championship whistle no matter where they are. You saw Pods there calling for the challenge. Listen, some of y'all are going to hate Pods no matter what, because y'all were asking me about him showing up the girls and all this stuff. Listen, if you're not paying attention, Pods is at every game, geared out, super into the game. I don't know how you can hate on somebody for that. Yes, I get some of y'all don't like his brash, annoying personality as far as like how outgoing he is and how he is, and he likes the spotlight. Like, let's be clear, I understand that, but I don't know how you can hate when he's genuinely into every game courtside. I think it's good for both sides, honestly. But yeah, that call was kind of nasty. Sabrina gets the 3 free throws off a landing zone call that was, maybe, right? And we still had an opportunity to get it done. Thornton got a really good look turning left shoulder in that corner. I thought that might go. And Kate, she had the heave that kept us alive, but ultimately you come up short against, the defending champs. And we sit at 7-7, Angel Reese in the sky coming in Friday. And again, I think the real focus is as this Euro Cup, as these players come back in that roster spot, to me, it's Talbot or Leticia. And I think you got to go young. I think she's just more dynamic. And, Talbot, I get the solid veteran. I don't know if this team needs that as much as maybe they thought, as far as like you got that they didn't want to have all young players, but the maturity, the chemistry, and the culture that Nakase is building, I don't know if that veteran part of Talbot being on the roster matters as much. And so I would lean Leticia. NBA draft. I've got some thoughts on the first round, but listen, I wish I could scout like 2020, the year that we all had time to do everything. If I could sit back and scout the draft, I would have some really strong takes for you about these players, because player evaluation, I love it. And I think I'm really good at it. With the workflow of the Warriors playoffs right into the Valkyries, I haven't been able to do scouting, but we have the 41st pick coming up here in round 2, and I will do my scouting post. Figure out who the player is, and then I will drop a video on my initial take of him. And then, of course, hopefully he'll be on the Summer League team, and I'll have those breakdowns, and we'll get a much better feel for whoever we get here in this second round. But I think the big picture is the trades, Kuminga. We're all sitting and waiting for what's going to happen here. And I will be back with the video, the content, as soon as we figure out what it's going to be. As always, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.